MLB insider for the Fan MLB Network, joins us now. Good morning, Jon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good, Jon. Lot to get into with you. Let's start with the bad, then we'll get to the good, right? So let's start with the bad.
Yeah, of course. You're a New Yorker. Of course we start with the bad.
That's exactly right, Jon. Let's start with
I was saying to myself, is he going to start with the Yankees or the Mets? I'm figuring the Yankees. Go ahead.
The rotation and Cashman. I get it's early, Jon, and I understand Tyone and Kluber have not been healthy for 2 years, but they're gonna overwork this bullpen. You've gotten in 3 starts from Corey Kluber, you've gotten a tad over 10 innings from Corey Kluber, and Jameson Tyone. We're celebrating when he's throwing 4+. This rotation behind Garrett Cole is a disaster for Cashman and the Yankees early.
Yeah, I'm worried. Obviously Kluber, even though for $11 million, it's still a gamble because he pitched through, I think, 1 inning or 1 game last year, and Tyone. Terrifically talented pitcher, but he's always had injury questions around him. And, you need length even with a good bullpen. Obviously, Britton's been out. They just got Wilson back. The bullpen should be good, but right now it looks like, sorry to be a poet, but Garrett Cole in a big wide hole. I guess that's not like Sponensing in 2 days of rain, but, after the $324 million man, you couldn't miss on that one. It's pretty worrisome.
Jon, the staff behind Cole is worrisome. You worry and interested to see how they're going to handle the bullpen from here on out if they continue to get short starts. But beyond that, it doesn't seem like the Yankees really have their footing in terms of who's playing each day in what position. And they've been shuffling a lot of things around, some by necessity and others I'm not sure. But I think one of the biggest things I'm starting to think about is Clint Frazier. They said that he was going to be the everyday left fielder, and now it seems like he's absolutely in a platoon situation with Brett Gardner. It doesn't make much sense to me. What about you?
You are 100% right there. Clint Frazier should be the everyday left fielder, and Gardner should be the 4th outfielder. And this was one of the dangers with bringing Gardner. I like Gardner. I'm glad they brought him back. Great as a 4th outfielder, brings speed, spark. He's obviously been there. He's a true Yankee, all that. But Clint Frazier should be playing, if not every day, almost every day, and that's not happening. It's the same thing all over again. They fall in love with Gardner and his style of play and the fact he's loyal and he's been there forever. And, the guy was batting – Gardner was batting 3rd yesterday. This is how much they love him. It's beyond they're actually in love with Gardner. And we all like Brett Gardner, but he should not be playing as much as Clint Frazier. There's no question about that. But getting past that, they've been like lethargic, or maybe they didn't get enough at bats for the regulars in the spring training. I'm not sure, but this team should hit. I understand it's not going to be perfect defensively. There'll be questions at catcher. Obviously, Glaber is an offense first shortstop, but you got Stanton, you got Judge, you got LeMahieu, Hicks, Glaber, Urshela. This should be one of the best 2 or 3 lineups in baseball. And to this point, it has been one of the 5 worst, at least from where I sit. Judge is hitting, but beyond that, they're not getting much from the guys they should be getting. Big hitting from LeMahieu even has not been good.
No, they haven't. But, Jon, I think there's too many good hitters in that lineup to think that eventually, right, they're not going to come around. We started the conversation with the rotation here is, they banked on a couple guys that had not thrown baseball, had not been in the rotation for 2+ years consistently to be your 2 and 3 starter to at least start the year. I know Severino's on the mend. Domingo Germán in his first 2 starts this year, he already got sent down. Devi Garcia. You got Jordan Montgomery. This rotation behind Garrett Cole, if you're Brian Cashman, you're looking at it saying, well, I'm looking at bankable innings. Where am I getting these innings from to where I don't overtax the bullpen to where the bullpen's exhausted second half of the year?
Yeah, I'm with you. Eventually they are going to hit. My worry would be they're a little right-handed, depend on the home run. I get that. But offensively, they should be fine. I think over 162, that will play out. The guys will have their numbers. Pitching is the question. I don't know, do they go to the king in the rotation? Figure out one of the young guys, Davey, somebody. But at this point, and I know it's early, and we're going to give them a chance. But Tyone and Kluber are providing 3-4 inning starts. That's barely above an opener. It's not really a starter for 3-4 innings. So They may have to look elsewhere within their own means, in the minors or somewhere. But the pitching is really what worries me about that team.
Jon Heyman joining us, the Big Time Baseball podcast. John, we saw that Kevin Cash, said that he was very disappointed in Major League Baseball, how they've handled the bad blood between the Rays and the Yankees. And obviously Yankees have an off day today and then start another series up with the Rays. Are you expecting any extra attention here? Do you think that Cash's words, how do you think that resonated in Major League Baseball's executive offices? Is there something we can learn about that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Cash is the one who really had the harsh words last year, from what I recall, right? Didn't he say we have a stable full of 98-mile-an-hour throwers or something like that? So if he, is he the one who's concerned about the safety? I don't know. It sounded like a threat to me. I don't know. He issued a threat last year, and now he wants more oversight. I'm not sure what he wants exactly, but he's probably not in a good mood. His team hasn't been very good either. They've been probably as bad as the Yankees at this point.
How about we start with the bad, let's get over to the good. How about this Met team right now? We'll see if they play this game this afternoon with the rain in the forecast here in the tri-state area, John. But, DeGrom on the mound, the Mets have won 3 straight against the Philadelphia Phillies. Rotation has been good. Bullpen has turned a corner a little bit. And this lineup, even with Conforto struggles, Alonso struggles, and McNeil struggles, Dom Smith, they're ripping through singles. They're not relying on the home run. The positives you've seen from this lineup and where this Met team is through 8 games.
Yeah, they have a great lineup. There's no question about that. McNeil will hit. There's no way he won't. Lindor will hit. Terrific player, obviously. McCann will hit better than he has. Smith, I think, will even hit better than he has. And he's been pretty good. But it's the rotation that I'm encouraged about. Marcus Stroman, after missing the year, been fantastic. I know he didn't like it starting up in that game that was rained out, but came back 2 days later, pitched a great game. Let him complain, I get it, but he's a feisty guy. But you know what? He's a hell of a competitor, and he's been fantastic. And then Peterson with that outing last night with a double-digit strikeout. I mean, the Phillies were a hot team when they got here, and now they've lost 3 in a row. That's a good lineup that they have too. Not as good as the Mets, but very good. And I'm very encouraged about what we see with the Mets. Peterson can pitch like that. Stroman can pitch like that. They've got the best pitcher in the game, and DeGrom, obviously. You got Thor back. That rotation looks pretty good, and I know that lineup is excellent. For me, the question would be defensively, but we will see how that goes. Nimmo's been great offensively. They got a lot of positives right now with the Mets. So other than the weather, everything's gone right for them.
Yeah, considering how the season started with it getting delayed because of the national situation with the COVID outbreak. I mean, things have been a little herky-jerky, but the last 3 have really been something here for the Mets. And, Moose and I were talking about this sort of, in my opinion, it's not a narrative, it's facts about the team not being able to win games as much as they should when Jacob DeGrom is on the mound. He's on the mound again today, we hope. And I think this is a story that the Mets really, it's got to die, John. It's got to die because I think it gets into the players' heads when DeGrom is on the mound that they're pressing.
It must. It's the craziest thing ever. They've blown 31 games for him, I heard Gary Cohn say, and I think they're 36-41 in the last, 77 decisions by DeGrom, games by DeGrom. It's crazy. I mean, he's clearly been the best pitcher in baseball with an ERA barely above 2 in those starts. To blow so many of those games is incredible. I don't know why that happens. And, maybe we're talking about it so much that it is in their heads. You would hope that it would even out. I mean, to even out at this point, he'd have to go 50-0, I think.
It's like 4 years.
I don't think it's ever going to even out, John.
I know. I don't. Normally they say it evens out over 162 games. I don't think it's going to even out over his career. I don't see how it can. I saw an article that suggested, he really isn't unlucky because this and that. No. If you watch the games, he is the most unlucky man in baseball. There's no question about it. You don't have to overanalyze the numbers or the stat. He's the best pitcher in the game, and they have a losing record in his starts. Case closed. What else do you need to know?
John, let's, a lot of other interesting things going on around the sport. What's going on with Bauer? I know you addressed it on your podcast, and his initial start, his start against the Oakland Athletics balls being pulled from that game, being analyzed. Rosenthal from The Athletic broke that story. Where are we in that investigation with Trevor Bauer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an overall baseball investigation. Mostly, I give Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic credit. He did a great job there getting that story that Bauer's balls were pulled in particular. They were looking at his. They got balls from every game. They're trying to make it uniform so that nobody has an advantage with the tackiness of the ball, with the spin rate. They just want to make sure that it's even. A team, I'm not going to name the team, one team did complain about Bauer this year, and it was looked at more closely because of that. That said, my understanding is there will be no suspension for anybody. Bauer is only being singled out because some team complained, not because they have it in for Bauer. Do they love Bauer? Probably not. Most people don't. He's a quirky personality. He's not an easy guy, obviously. He's very, very opinionated. Maybe the team singled him out. I don't know, because they don't like him. I'm not sure, but I saw that Bauer blamed MLB. MLB did not leak this. They don't want any cheating scandal. They've got enough issues with the COVID and other things that have gone on with baseball, the All-Star game and everything else. Enough controversy. They don't want one of their best pitchers to be caught in any cheating scandal. They didn't leak it. He's only speculating. He doesn't know. I get that. And I'm sure he's upset, and I get it too, because, why single him out? The only reason to do it is because there was a complaint about him, and that's it. That said, either he nor anybody else is going to be suspended at this point. They're just trying to make it uniform for everyone. The obvious solution, I think Moose and I talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago, is to just get the balls tacky enough and even for everybody. But when they change the ball and they test it out with pitchers, some pitchers are fine with it and others aren't. And it's, pitchers understandably are very particular about their arms and the ball. That's all they got, is their arm and the ball. So if the ball changes, they're going to be a little upset. So it's not an easy conundrum. It's going to be difficult to solve it, and it's interesting that Bauer was fingered by somebody, but he will. And I know a lot of people are rooting for him to be suspended, but he will not be suspended.
He was called out by someone, and that person was Sandy Alderson. No, I'm just kidding. Jon Heyman is joining us. You spurned us.
Well, the Mets have not actually played.
I know, but listen, so you can always make it anonymous.
By elimination, it's not the Mets.
Right, we know that.
They'd like to. They're in that large group that would like to call him out as well. But no, it is not the Mets.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll see what happens with Bauer, but you're not expecting a suspension. But it's just interesting because, the tackiness of the ball, you can tell that baseball is trying to, make up for pitchers being so dominant, right? They're worried about a lack of action that happens in baseball games, too many strikeouts, and they want more action. So whether it's the tackiness of the ball, whether it's these two new rules now that are going to be in the Atlantic League that seem to, in their own ways, both kind of affect starting pitchers and pitchers more than anything. The double hook, which is you take your DH out when your starter goes out, so forcing starters to go longer into games, John, and then obviously moving the mound back a full foot. Of those two proposals, which one do you think would actually have a shot of making it to Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I don't see them moving the mound back. It's been like that for a century. Why take a risk of injury? Injury is, to me, a greater problem than too much offense or too little offense. They want more offense, yet the ball was dead. So they're going both ways on this. We're going to have a deader ball and a mound that's further back. They're just, you don't want to do too many things. I'm old school. I did like a lot of the changes. I love the wild card. I do like the man. Moose and I are the only two people in the world who like the man on second.
That's it. John, you and I are the only ones in that foxhole, John.
Club. It's going to be a very small club. We're going to get a small room. It's like a broom closet. Me and you are going to be there.
See, I like the 7-inning double headers, and that makes the people come out with the pitchforks for me. So.
Oh yeah, no, I could go either way on that one. But I like the man on second. I like the strategy of that. So, but moving the mound back. I mean, why? I think the biggest problem is pitching injury. So why mess with that? So I'm not in favor of that. The other one. Doesn't bother me too much. I would like to see pitchers stay in the game longer. I don't love the openers. I am kind of old school on that. But, I think we're going to get rid of the DH. Wasn't the plan to have the universal DH and then you're going to get rid of it and then have the pitchers bat even less frequently and be more susceptible to injury when they do come up? I thought the whole point with having the universal DH was to be safe. So, the Atlantic League is pretty far from the major leagues, but I'm glad that we have an experimental league.
John, how about we've gotten 2 no-hitters here early on in the season.
Yeah.
Musgrove, Rodon last night for Chicago. We're very, very close to getting a perfect game. Great play by Abreu in that 9th inning to get to get the tricky ball to get the runner at first base. But what about the story of Rodon last night and everything that he's been through and going out there and throwing a no-no for the Palos?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, this was a guy who was a top draft choice. Expected him to be a star. He's just had a lot of injuries. Like we talked about, pitching injuries are a problem in baseball. They signed him for $3 million, which, as we know, is bargain basement. As Kluber, who didn't pitch last year, got $11 million. So we got him for $3 million back. They knew him. They knew the potential. He looked fantastic. But you're right. They needed big plays. Abreu made a fantastic play. Garcia, their backup shortstop with Anderson out, made a great play. The White Sox are just a very exciting and very good team. I'm almost regretting picking the Yankees at this point. I don't want to say that out loud on a New York station, but almost regretting picking the Yankees to make it to the World Series. The White Sox are very good. And, I'm on the Score in Chicago every week. And, it comes up about Tony La Russa. I'm going to give Tony – I was not in favor of that hire, even though I like Tony. I think he's a great strategist. I thought it was a gamble, but I'm going to give him a chance. I'm asked every week about is there an issue with Tony La Russa? Even if he's not 100% of himself, he's younger than the president, right? He's younger than our last 2 presidents, I think. I'm not sure about Trump, but we have presidents in their 70s. So, I'm not going to suggest that somebody in their 70s can't be a manager of a baseball team. But, as I said, I thought it was a bit of a gamble. But that team is so good. I think they're going to be a playoff team.
Jon Heyman, Big Time Baseball Podcast, Odyssey, MLB Insider for the Fan. You mentioned the Score, also MLB Network. Hey, John, we appreciate the time this morning. All right, chat with you next week.
All right, always great to be on with you too. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
You as well, John.